So I just recorded a 10-minute review and the audio just came out as static. So I have no idea why it did that, but whatever. So welcome to Dungeon Dwellers Podcast. I'm your host Justin. Today we're reviewing a special movie, Noroi The Curse, which is a 2005 found footage horror movie. It's an hour and 50 minutes long, which is very long for a found footage movie. Usually they're not more than like an hour, 20 minutes or so. This is directed by Koji Shiraishi, who directed a bunch of not found footage movies like Cult 2013, and he also directed this Cult 2013. By the way, Hideo Kojima, the director of Metal Gear Solid games, in one of his Hideo Tube videos, he mentioned Cult 2013. Said it was a really great movie. Though he said in his review of it, like he said it was like a documentary, documentary, when it's like a found footage horror movie. But I guess he didn't. I don't know if he didn't know that, or he was trying to trick people into watching it. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. And he also directed Grotesque, which is 2009 torture, movie, which I'm not a huge fan of, like torture prawn movies. But yeah, like, I don't know, some people are into that. I'm more into supernatural horror movies. So the movie stars Jin Muraki as Masafumi Kobayashi, who's the main character. You got Ryo Kana as Kana Yano, Marika Matsumoto as herself, Tomono Yukuga as Junko Ishii, Takashige Ichiese is in the movie, and Yoko Cho Sokabe as Kimiko Yano, who is the mother of Kana Yano. So the movie is about this paranormal researcher who's like a journalist, Masafumi Kobayashi, who goes missing, and his house is set on fire, and his wife is found dead inside, right? And the movie is about this documentary director who goes through his stuff and shows us one of the tapes that he did right before he went missing, which is titled The Curse, right? And before the movie the footage starts, you get like a quote from Masafumi Kobayashi, which let me see if I can find it. Nah, it's better. I'll just summarize it. It's basically, I want the truth. I'll look for the truth, even like, no matter. I'll look for the truth no matter how horrific, or something like that, right? Which is a very cool quote. Sorry, I'm butchering it, but yeah, the movie starts off with Masafumi Kobayashi interviewing this woman and her young daughter, who were like next door. They have this middle-aged crazy woman living next to them with her 5 or 6-year-old son, and at night they can hear babies crying in that house, right? Which they even recorded audio, and Masafumi Kobayashi took it to audio engineer who specialized in like audio, and was able to separate it, and could confirm that the voices were at least 5 different babies. So after Masafumi Kobayashi tried to talk to this woman, who you find out is Junko Ishii, right? She screams at him, and like he chickens out right away, which, for somebody who's not scared of the supernatural, like, he's scared of rude women. I thought that was interesting. Yeah, she immediately moves out the next day, Junko Ishii, and her neighbor, the woman, and her daughter, 5 days later die in a car accident. So after that, we see a bunch of footage from variety shows and variety shows from like one is from like an experiment where like a psychic does psychic experiments from children all over Japan who claim to have psychic powers, and then the best one was Kanno Yano, who is a psychic girl who goes missing in the movie, and our main character, the journalist, tries to find her. Other footage we see is like of Marika Matsumoto, who is who's an actress who's also part psychic, who has an incident while filming like a scene at a shrine, right? You also see footage of this other psychic who called Matsuo Hori, who is this crazy psychic, who is like, I think he's like, I can't remember what they said his age was, but like he looks like he's in his 20s or 30s, early 30s, and like he has like he wears tinfoil over his clothes, wears tinfoil hats, and like can predict the receives messages from like paranormal entities. He's constantly warned people of parasitic worms, which is, you figure out his code for ghosts and shit, and stuff. Sorry for cursing. I'm trying to avoid cursing. I think that's why I get so low viewed videos. So yeah, after that, our characters team up to investigate what's going on in this in the Tokyo, and find out where Kanno Yano is. They eventually figure out, thanks to Mitsuo Hori, that the Kanno Yano's disappearance has something to do with this demon called Kagu Taba, where they investigate this demon, finds out it's from this village, where of sorcerers that would use to summon Kagu Taba to bring disaster to their enemies, I guess. But eventually the demon would go crazy, and they would have to perform this ritual to contain it. Eventually, though, what ends up happening is that the village gets condemned and turned into a dam. So they perform, the priest, whose name is Ishii, with his daughter's help, Junko Ishii, which is the woman from the beginning of the movie, perform this ritual in the 70s, right before the dam gets constructed, to pacify Kagu Taba. Something goes wrong and the woman gets possessed. They eventually, our characters decide to try to perform the ritual on the dam. What ends up happening is that they stuff goes crazy, and Masafumi Kobayashi ends up chasing Mitsuo Hori into the woods, and they find a bunch of dead dogs, which the dead dogs are from the village, which were part of the rituals to contain the paranormal demon, right? They find the dead dogs, and they find this ghost lady covered in like dead babies, and they talk about how when the Junko Ishii was living in Tokyo, she worked in an abortion clinic and would take the babies part home, the aborted embryos, which, if you ever seen pictures of aborted embryos, are pretty horrific, because somebody put like a pamphlet on anti-abortion pamphlet into my mailbox, and where you where you can see cut up the dead babies all cut up into pieces, right? Which is like, dude, I'm an anti-abortion, okay? I don't need to see this stuff. You need to send that stuff to like the loose women, dude. Like, don't send that stuff to me. But yeah, so like apparently she was in the woods performing some kind of ritual, which involved like feeding the dead embryos to the medium, which was Kanno Yano, and like they find Kanno Yano, she's dead, but Junko Ishii killed herself. She hung herself, and they find this the 5 or 6 year old boy who turns out not to be Ishii's son, and like Masafumi Kobayashi adopts the boy. So that's the end of the movie, and then it turns out after that somebody sends, after the film The Curse, somebody sends another tape from a camera to like Masafumi's Kobayashi's publisher, where there's more footage, and you get to find out, okay, you get to find out the finale of the Kagutaba, events that Masafumi Kobayashi was involved in. If I don't want to, spoil. So I thought the movie was very well written. I really liked the whole documentary feel at the beginning of the movie, where they're showing footage from different programs and stuff, creating this narrative on what happened in these events, which I've seen movies do that, where it all looks like all the different stuff looks like it's all filmed by the same people. Here it doesn't look like that. The variety shows and the news footage all looked authentic to me, right? And the performances, especially Mitsuo Hori and Masafumi Kobayashi's characters did great jobs. And some of the horror scenes I thought were pretty cool. And the fact they did use some CGI, it looks like, but because it's the footage is from they make the footage look like VHS, VHS. It gives that grainy enough feel, so it doesn't look like it has the digital look to it, which I thought was cool. Yeah, so if I were to give this movie a rating, it's a 7 out of 10. It is a bit long, right? And a bit long, and the ending for the movie kind of gives it this open-ended feeling to it. So they might do sequels, but considering it's been over 15 years, they probably aren't going to give it sequels. But yeah, I don't know. If it's a thing where if you're a found footage fan, you might be turned off from the fact that this movie is 2 hours long, which most found footage movies are an hour and 20 minutes, right? Hell, I watched a really terrible found footage movie yesterday, which I didn't even bother to review. That was only an hour and 4 minutes, which it was a Hungarian found footage movie called Baldum, which completely ripped off from the last broadcast, to the point where it's about people investigating a horrific murder, and it turns out to be they get in danger, but it turns out to have nothing to do with the thing that they were researching, right? Which I thought was obviously ripped off from the last broadcast. If you've seen the last broadcast, which you can find on YouTube, and you can also find this movie on YouTube, and it's also on Shudder, which you probably want to watch on Shudder, because the copy for this movie that I saw was at 360p, which is though when you consider this footage is supposed to be from a VHS, it didn't bother me too much. Alright guys, that's the end of this review. I think if you're a horror movie fan, if you like Japanese movies, you like found footage movies, this movie is definitely worth a watch. Though I can't tell you whether or not this movie is scary or not, because I watched it during the day, which I should have watched it at night, but you know how it is. I'm gonna post a review for another March martial arts madness review, which is going to be Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon 2, Sword of Destiny. Alright guys.